Hey guys, Markiplier here. Let me tell you about the day that changed everything. It was a Tuesday, just a regular Tuesday, or so I thought. My friend had been bugging me to try this new VR setup. I was skeptical, but boy was I in for a surprise. I put on the headset. The world around me disappeared. I was somewhere else entirely. It was like stepping into a dream. But this dream, I could touch. I could feel. I could explore. I found myself on a space station. Stars twinkled all around me. I could reach out and almost touch them. My heart was racing. This wasn't just a game, it felt real. VR wasn't just some gimmick, it was a portal to new worlds. So, what exactly is virtual reality? Think of it as a magic door. A door that leads to anywhere you can imagine, and I mean anywhere. Want to explore ancient Egypt? Done. Fancy a trip to Mars? No problem. How about shrinking down to the size of an atom? VR's got you covered, but it's more than just fancy graphics. VR is all about immersion. It tricks your brain into thinking you're really there. You're not just watching a screen, you're inside the action. You can look around, interact with objects, talk to characters. It's like you've been transported to another world. The tech behind VR is pretty mind-blowing. You've got these headsets with high-res displays, motion sensors that track your every move, controllers that let you grab and manipulate virtual objects. It's wild. VR is hot right now. And I mean hot. Everyone's talking about it, from gamers to tech geeks to your grandma. Okay, maybe not your grandma, but you get the idea. So why all the buzz? Well, for starters, it's new. And people love new things, especially when those new things let you do the impossible. But it's more than just novelty. VR promises something we've all dreamed of. The ability to go anywhere, do anything, be anyone. It's like having a holodeck from Star Trek, only it's real. And it's here now. That's pretty exciting stuff. No wonder people are hyped. The applications are limitless. Now, I don't want to be a buzzkill, but we need to talk about expectations because here's the thing, VR is amazing, but it's not perfect. Not yet. And that can lead to some disappointment. People hear about VR and imagine something straight out of sci-fi. Total immersion, photorealistic graphics, absolutely no difference from reality. The truth is, we're not quite there yet. Don't get me wrong, VR is incredible, but it has limitations. The resolution isn't always crystal clear. Sometimes there's a bit of lag. And those headsets? They can get pretty heavy after a while. It's not exactly like plugging into the Matrix. Section 5. What makes VR unforgettable? So what is it that makes VR so darn memorable? Why do first-time experiences stick with us? Well, it's a combination of things. But it all comes down to one word: presence. That feeling of actually being there, of existing in another world, it's something no other medium can quite match. Think about it, when you watch a movie, you're an observer. When you play a regular video game, you're controlling a character. But in VR, you are the character. You're not watching the story unfold, you're living it. That's powerful stuff. It creates memories that feel real, because in a way they are real. Another factor is the novelty. For most people, that first VR experience is unlike anything they've ever done before. It's a completely new way of interacting with digital content, and our brains love novelty. We're wired to remember new and unusual experiences. VR ticks all those boxes. It's why people can't stop talking about their first time in VR. Section 6. Graphics that blow your mind. Let's talk visuals, because holy smokes, VR can look incredible. Now I know what you're thinking, but Mark, you just said the graphics aren't perfect. And you're right, they're not. But here's the thing, they don't need to be photorealistic to blow your mind. It's all about immersion. When you're in VR, you're surrounded by the virtual world. It's all around you. Above, below, behind. Everywhere you look, there's something to see. And that changes everything. Even simple graphics can feel incredibly real when they're all around you. It's like the difference between looking at a painting and stepping inside it. But let's be real. Some VR games and experiences look absolutely stunning. I'm talking jaw-dropping, eye-popping, beautiful. VR can make all of that feel real. Section 7. Stories that come to life. Now let's talk storytelling. Because VR isn't just about pretty pictures, it's about experiences. And at the heart of any great experience is a great story. VR opens up whole new ways to tell stories. Ways that put you right in the middle of the action. And let me tell you, it's mind-blowing. Imagine being a character in your favorite movie. Not just watching the hero save the day, but being the hero. Making choices that affect the story. Interacting with other characters. It's like improvising in a play, except the stage is an entire world. And you're not just reciting lines, you're living them. But it's not just about being the star of the show. VR can let you experience stories from new perspectives. Want to know what it's like to be a different gender, a different race, a different species? VR can do that. It's a powerful tool for building empathy and understanding. You're not just hearing about someone else's experience, you're living it. Section 8. Feeling all the feels in VR. Alright, let's get emotional, because that's where VR really shines. It's one thing to watch a sad movie, it's another thing entirely to feel like you're actually there, living through those events. VR can create emotional responses that are incredibly powerful, and incredibly real. I've seen people cry in VR, I've seen them laugh out loud, I've seen them flinch in fear, heck, I've done all those things myself. The immersion of VR means that your brain reacts as if what you're experiencing is really happening. Your palms sweat when you're in danger. Your heart races when you're excited. It's intense. But it's not just about big dramatic emotions. VR can also create subtle feelings that stick with you. The peace of standing in a virtual forest listening to the wind in the trees. The satisfaction of solving a complex puzzle in three-dimensional space. The companionship of bonding with a virtual pet. Section 9. The moment that changed everything. Okay, story time. Remember that space station I mentioned earlier? Well, there was this one moment that really stuck with me. I was floating in the airlock, about to step out into space. My heart was pounding. I knew it wasn't real, but my body didn't seem to care. I took a deep breath and pushed off. And then, I was floating. Actually floating in space. The Earth was below me, this beautiful blue marble, stars everywhere. The space station stretching out beside me. It was breathtaking. I've always been a space nerd, but this was beyond anything I'd imagined. For a moment, I forgot it wasn't real. I reached out, trying to touch the stars. Of course, my hand just passed through them, but it didn't matter. The feeling of being there, of experiencing something I never thought I'd be able to, was overwhelming. Section 10. Why first VR experiences stick with us. So why do these first VR experiences stick with us so strongly? Well, it's partly because they're so unique. There's nothing quite like that first time you put on a headset and step into another world. It's a genuine wow moment, and our brains are wired to remember those moments of surprise and wonder. But it's more than just novelty. VR experiences engage more of our senses than almost any other medium. You're not just seeing and hearing, you're moving, touching, interacting. All of that sensory input creates stronger, more vivid memories. It's like the difference between hearing about a place and actually visiting it. There's also the element of personal agency. In VR, you're not just watching things happen, you're making them happen. You're the one exploring, interacting, making choices. That level of involvement makes the experience feel more real, more personal. And personal experiences are always more memorable. Section 11. Your turn, share your VR story. Alright, I've done a lot of talking. Now it's your turn. I want to hear about your first VR experience. Was it mind-blowing, disappointing, somewhere in between? What did you try? How did it make you feel? I'm genuinely curious to hear your stories, because every VR experience is unique. If you haven't tried VR yet, what are you most excited about? What kind of experience do you think would blow your mind? A space adventure like mine, a historical tour, a fantasy world, or maybe something completely different? Let me know in the comments. And if you're on the fence about trying VR, consider this your push. Go for it. For those of you who are VR veterans, what advice would you give to first-timers? Any tips for getting the most out of the experience? Any common pitfalls to avoid? Share your wisdom. Let's create a little VR community right here in the comments, because VR is always better when it's shared. And hey, if you enjoyed this dive into the world of VR, why not share it with your friends? Maybe it'll inspire them to take the plunge into virtual reality, or at least give them something cool to talk about. Either way, thanks for joining me on this virtual journey. Until next time, this is Markiplier, signing off.